SportsBit is powered by BetOnline, driving the opening odds market since 2001. Visit sportsbookreview.com to learn more about BetOnline and its A+ rated platform in the link below.
Hey, welcome into SportsBit. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. Happy Halloween out there. Big game breakdown. Game 6 of the World Series. Astros and Dodgers. Another great story about the handle and what could affect the line coming up tonight, at least in Las Vegas. We'll get to the Bills and the Jets. That's your Thursday night game. We got a couple trades in the NFL. And Dave Mason, BetOnline, the deep dive. Recap how the players and the books made out this weekend. Another great college football weekend as well. Monday night recap. Not good for the books. Favorite in the over, 29-19 Chiefs. They improved to 6-2. Denver, 5 turnovers, Teddy. Simeon and the offense continue to struggle.
Yeah, and the sportsbooks directors I've talked to have called the Monday night game the fitting end to probably the worst weekend for the house in the NFL so far this season. Favorite and over come in on Monday night. And really relatively easy cover for Kansas City after 5 Broncos turnovers, an 0-for-2 start for Denver in the red zone. I mean, the Broncos, they had more yards per play. They outgained Kansas City by more than 2-1 margin on the ground. 5.7 yards to 3.0 yards per rush for Denver. All of these great stats for the Broncos. But you know how it is, Pauly. In the NFL in 2017, you cannot overcome truly dismal quarterback play. And that's what the Broncos are getting for Trevor Siemian these days.
All right. And what might be the best deadline trade day ever in the NFL, we get Dwayne Brown to the Seahawks. We get Jay Ajayi to the Eagles for a 4th rounder. And big news here. I told you, our stats guy, I told you. Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers for a 2nd round pick. Hoyer will go to the Patriots to back up Brady. Great move. See if I don't think the Eagles are done. I don't think the Dolphins are done either. The Dolphins might just blow this whole thing up and trade Landry. I think the Eagles need offensive line help. This has been a wild last 24 hours in the NFL.
Sure, and when you talk about what's actually going to affect teams moving forward, Jay Ajayi in Philadelphia, maybe a little bit. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo, there's been a line move in San Francisco with money coming in on the 49ers. Garoppolo's not going to play this week. I don't understand that one. And expecting him to come in there and be a difference maker in that offense, I don't see it, not in the short term. Of the 3, Dwayne Brown going to Seattle has the most potential impact. If there's any team in the NFL that's desperate for offensive line help, it's the Seahawks. And when you have a Super Bowl caliber roster and you just got a standout left tackle, that helps a whole lot moving forward for Seattle. The only team whose power ratings adjusted, for me at least, off of those 3 moves, Pauly, were the Seahawks. I moved them up a half point.
Bad beats bad bets, bad for the books. It's a little revenge for the 76ers. Rockets took money at home, bet up from 6 to 7. Simmons with another great game. Embiid played well. 115-107. The Sixers win. They've won 3 of 4.
Yeah, and Houston took the money. I was surprised to see the Rockets take the money. Sixers, they're starting to show signs already right now. They're enjoying playing together. And worth noting, they dominated the glass against the Rockets last night, 48-35 on the boards. Houston was a bad bet.
The Nuggets, look at this, 3.5 up to 5. The Knicks led by 20+. Knicks have won 3 in a row. And bettors got some of their money back as they steamed the total from 207 to 211. And the Blazers took money from 2 to 4 at home against the Raptors. They scored 6 points in the second quarter. How's that possible?
Yeah, pretty ugly second quarter for Portland. Let's talk about the Knicks. I mean, this is a Knicks team that everyone wrote off for dead before the season started. They looked awful the first week. They're showing signs of life right now. New York might be a team worth keeping your eye on. And as for Portland, the money came on the Blazers because Serge Ibaka was hitting for the Raptors. Line moves from -2 to -4. What happens? The Raptors didn't need Ibaka. Second half of that game, mostly garbage time. The Toronto Raptors now number 2 in the NBA in points per 100 possessions allowed on defense. And they dominated the glass as well with a +9 rebounding edge.
Bet for the books. Charlotte took money from 7 down to 5.5 at Memphis. And you have an interesting tidbit here on the Grizzlies, Teddy.
Yeah, it's real simple with Memphis. And this is not unique or new to this season for the Memphis Grizzlies, but another outright upset, another favorite doesn't cover in a Grizzlies game. The dog so far this season, it's early. The dog has covered in every single Grizzlies game where the favorite was -3 or higher. Doesn't matter if the Grizzlies were the favorite or the underdog. The dog is covering every single time -3 or higher in a Memphis game. Something to watch, perhaps, moving forward for the Grizzlies.
Hey, the Magic won outright against the Pelicans. You making money on the Magic, Teddy? 5-2.
I had Orlando in my pocket last night. I had a little bit of money
go.
line in my pocket last night. Nice when they come easy like that with Orlando. The 8-point dog winning outright by 16.
There it is. Big game breakdown up next. Game 6 of the World Series. 22 home runs. Going to be 65 degrees. Can the Dodgers force a Game 7 and something that could affect the markets in Vegas? And we'll get to the Bills and Jets on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Sportsbook Review, YouTube's largest sports betting channel. Every day we're here giving you the most up-to-date news and info, all to help you make the best bet. On top of that, guys, it's free. So look, do us a favor, click the like button, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment or a question. Our goal here is to make sure that everyone becomes a smarter, better. So join the SPR Army today and start winning with Sportsbook Review.
Back on SportsBet, Betting Insight today. Time for Big Game Breakdown. Always sponsored and powered by BetOnline. Check out the bonus page, sportsbookreview.com, for the latest and best offers to open a new account today. And check out SBR Picks and SBR Odds as well as we talk about these two games. Game 6, World Series, 5:20 Pacific. Verlander against Hill. Astros lead the series 3-2. I can't believe it. Nothing but Dodgers money. This opened $1.10, bet up to $1.15. Houston. Now the Dodgers are $1.20, 7.5 the total. The big story here, though, Teddy, is the explosion with the home runs and the pitchers complaining. We have had 22 home runs in this series. Coming off what happened in Game 5. This is a Tom Verducci article in Sports Illustrated. You have McCullers, Verlander, all these pitchers. McCullers actually did the Pepsi challenge where they blindfolded them, and he could tell which baseballs were new and which were old. These balls are slick. They are new baseballs for the World Series. It was big in Game 3. Darvish said he couldn't throw his slider. And the pitchers are like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you changing baseballs in the World Series? Verlander said the same thing. I'm having problems throwing my damn breaking ball.
And the result of all of this is an offensive explosion that everyone's talking about, a World Series filled with thrilling games that everyone's talking about. So the players might be complaining. I'm quite confident that MLB is very happy with the baseballs they've chosen to use this postseason. But when you flash that graphic again, I mean, look at the numbers. 58 runs scored through the first 5 games of the World Series, 22 of them home runs. You know, the slugging percentages, the on-base percentages. And yeah, some of it's the baseballs, but you read some of the quotes. Okay, Game 2. After Game 2, which was a wild game, like many of them, Brent Strahl, the Astros pitching coach, quote, "We had a well-pitched game tonight from both sides. I'm not taking anything away from the players. I just want to know why. Why in the world would the baseballs in the World Series be different? Because you can see the difference. You can feel it. I don't understand it at all." Justin Verlander agreed with that. Quote, and of course, the World Series ball is slicker. No doubt. I'm telling you, we're in here signing World Series balls before the game. It's hard to get the ink on the ball sometimes. It's different. I noticed it, especially throwing a slider. It didn't feel the same. The home run I gave up to Jock Peterson was on a slider. Now, Verlander still battled. I mean, he only gave up 2 hits in Game 2. Over 6 innings of work, both those hits were home runs, however. Certainly a concern. Worth noting, the Astros 10-0 in Verlander's 10 outings since they got him. 9 starts and 1 out of the bullpen.
So it's Rich Hill, and again, a rematch of Game 2. Rich Hill went 4 innings and threw 60 pitches in Game 2. I thought Roberts blew it by taking him out so early. So as Roberts said, because of what happened in Game 5, the bullpen's been so bad and he's used everybody. They need and expect Hill to go deep in the game, which he usually doesn't do, but they're going to have to do it here, which is it's a disaster scenario if Hill gets rocked early. There's no one else behind him. They're running out of pitchers. So that's one thing he's looking for. And if you're Hinch, you got to be loving life because your bullpen's struggled and Giles has been demoted. But you have Verlander, who's a horse, and you're right. He only had 2 hits, both home runs in game 2. But you expect at least 7 innings out of Verlander tonight.
I mean, look, I'm going to go real brief with these quotes. Dave Roberts. Under the circumstances of Game 5, you got to be open to pushing Hill. And I know he's up for the challenge. We can expect Hill to be pushed because how does Roberts trust anyone in that bullpen? Jansen's now given up 3 runs in a row. Morrow has been overworked in the postseason. The great arms that dominated, they're not dominating now. And the Astros, of course, have seen them all repeatedly in this series. You look at the A.J. Hinch quote. I don't have a scripted way of getting our 27 outs. We have some strengths that we feel we can exploit, some matchups we want. If that means I have to use guys in a unique way, that's fine. So basically, I mean, you don't want to use the expression, all bets are off in this situation because all bets are on. But when it comes to how these pitching staffs are going to be used, all bets are off tonight. Look at the tweet from Ken Gurnick. Robert said everyone is available to pitch tomorrow. Of course, that was yesterday, except for Darvish and Kershaw. We could see some bizarre pitching changes tonight, or we could see both of these starters come in and throw gems. That's what both Hinch and Roberts are begging for this evening. A good performance out of their starting pitcher that saves them from going to the pen.
Alex Wood should be the first guy out of the pen, considering how great he pitched in Game 4, if something happens to Rich Hill. We'll get to this game later in the show. Last game, live odds, BetOnline. Bills and the Jets Thursday night, split line, 3.5, 43 the total. Bills favored on the road. They played week 1. Buffalo was laying 8. They won 21-12. First downs, 23-11. Total offense, 408 to 214. We're finding out a lot about the Bills. The Bills are 2 plays away from being undefeated. They lost 9-3 at Carolina and lost 20-16 at Cincinnati. We know they're tough at home, and they're buying in, which is also an indictment of Rex Ryan. Look at this graphic. Football Outsiders ratings of the Buffalo defense. They were 4th and 2nd. And then with the 2 years with Rex Ryan, they were 24th and 27th. Now they're back to 6th. So McDermott doing a good job, and the players are buying in. And the big key, Teddy, turnover differential.
Oh, it sure is. But that Rex Ryan stat is just beautiful. Rex Ryan with that defensive reputation. Oh, I'm a tough guy. And you look at the Bills over the last 5 years. 3 great defenses, and the 2 years Ryan were there, they stunk. Hey, nice bluster, buddy. But when you look at the Bills' numbers this season, I mean, the turnovers really stand out. They're number 1 in the NFL in turnover margin, plus 14. They have 17 takeaways. That's number 1 in the NFL, tied with Baltimore for the most takeaways. They only have 3 giveaways. That's number 1 in the NFL in fewest giveaways, tied with Kansas City. So, I mean, the defense, at least 3 takeaways in each of the last 4 games. And yet, during that span where the defense has been dominating or where this undervalued Bills team has been winning, no, not so much. Only 2-point spread covers during this 4-game stretch where the defense has really controlled the action. So, I mean, good news for the Bills on offense. LaShawn McCoy, he's been a workhorse. 130 carries, 521 yards, 38 receptions. A great option for Tyrod Taylor out of the backfield. 38 receptions for 242. But the bad news on offense, McCoy's been great, but tight end Charles Clay is hurt. No one else has caught us even half as many passes as McCoy. Jordan Matthews, number 2 on the team with 17 receptions. So you don't have a wide receiver that's stretching the field for Buffalo right now. Tyrod Taylor is somewhat erratic with his downfield accuracy. So basically, right now, this offense, LaShawn McCoy left, LaShawn McCoy right, LaShawn McCoy over the middle. Quick turnaround for McCoy, considering that he had 27 rushes and 6 catches versus the Raiders on Sunday. See if Shady is a little bit tired in the second half of this one.
Yeah. All right. The Jets. Remember, we talked about this a couple times on the show. This is the biggest line move in history with the total. Jets open 5.5 win total, as low as 3 at the South Point here in Vegas. It's going to be a sweat, though, because we talked about it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets lost out when they were 3-2. They lost to New England, Miami, and the Falcons, all by 7 points or less. So now they're 3-5. And you wonder if the frustration has set in as they've had leads in the fourth quarter the last 2 games. Forte on only 4 carries against Atlanta. I only had 4 carries. So I don't really think we ran the ball enough with the weather being the way it was. It continued to rain the entire game. I think we only ran the ball 20 times. Should have been at least one person getting 20 carries with the way the weather was. I thought we were going to grind them out on the ground like that, but it ended up not turning out that way. McCown is as a respectable number 9 in passer rating, considering he doesn't have a lot of weapons around him, and they got cursed early in the season in a trade. But he hasn't really played a lot of good defenses as well. Look at the defenses they faced the last 6 games. Again, Football Outsiders. Oakland 29, Jacksonville 1st, Cleveland 19, New England 31st, Miami 22nd, Atlanta 27th. Where you at with the Jets here? The fact that now they're starting to slump. If they lose this game, maybe the talks go back to let's tank, let's get a top 5 pick. McCown, go to the bench.
I mean, all we've seen from the Jets is competitive efforts, week in, week out. With the exception of the game at Oakland, where they were awful, they've been competitive. Yeah, they've been facing up against a bunch of weak defenses of late. But you talk about stats that stand out, who'da thunk it type of stats. Josh McCown is the number 9 QB rating in the NFL right now. That's insane, considering what this offense was supposed to be doing. This isn't a game I got a strong feel for, Pauly. I don't expect to be in action on Thursday night, not at the current number. But I will say this. If you're betting the Jets, find a plus 3.5. If you're betting the Bills, find a -3. It's pretty simple. Just go to the Sportsbook Review bonus page. You can get great offers and make sure that you have more outs than you do, minimum of 3. Get the best of the number. Don't be laying a hook with the Bills in this one, and don't be taking the Jets without the hook if you like that side of the equation.
Amen, brother. Up next, Dave Mason, BetOnline. Recap how the books and the players made out. And the play of the day on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Welcome back to SportsBet Betting Insight today. And of course, as we do every single Tuesday during football season, we're joined by Dave Mason from betonline.ag. And Dave has been kind enough to A, give us some time, and B, tell us what the heck's going on in the offshore world. How'd they fare for the weekend? What are the big decisions? Let's bring him in. Mr. Mason, how was the weekend for betonline.ag?
Teddy, Covers, good to be here. Weekend, I mean, the action was great, but the college was great for the house, and NFL, we dumped it pretty much all of it back to the NFL better. So, yeah, I mean, no complaints on college. Really good for the house was Wake Forest, Iowa State, Northwestern was huge, Florida State. Players beat us up on Penn State, Georgia, Memphis Friday night, I believe that was. Kind of dodged a bullet on that Penn State game because we were buried on the money line. So if Penn State got it done, I mean, I wouldn't be so happy about college. That was a big one. I mean, there was I think 92% of the money line bets were on Penn State outright. So at that plus money, how it was, that would have been a big one. So yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Dave.
Yes,
let me just cut you off real quick because I want to ask you. There's 50-plus games in college football on Saturday, and you're going to tell me that Penn State, literally, the difference between them cashing on the money line and not cashing on the money line is the difference between your sports book having a good day and not so much. That literally, that 1 point that separated the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I mean, that's by far and away the biggest bet game of the day, and point spread, we needed the Buckeyes, but it came down all week. About 70% of the bettors were on Penn State, and then before kickoff was about closer to about 50% of the action money was on Penn State. So we didn't need the Buckeyes, so they won that. But the big one was that money line. I mean, there was almost as much bets on that money line as there was on Penn State at least. As there was on the spread, which isn't really, which is kind of rare. And, that plus money, all those bets, 92% of those bets on the biggest bet game of the day. Yeah, I mean, it would have knocked out not all of our profits, but a lot of them on Saturday. It would have been a little bit above break even probably.
Oh, so that's a huge decision with the Buckeyes comeback win. And there was an interesting read that I was reading yesterday. about for the third consecutive week here in Las Vegas, the college football handle overall has been greater than the NFL handle. And it's not usually that way. Are you seeing more college betting and less NFL betting in Costa Rica, in the offshore world, or is that something that's fairly unique to Las Vegas right now?
Well, I mean, this weekend definitely. I can't remember the previous weekend. You know, it's always about around 50-50. Not 50-50, but pretty darn close. But again, there's so many darn games on that college schedule. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
So that always factors into it. You take any game NFL compared to college, and that NFL game blows the college away, of course. But there's so many games. But this weekend, definitely. I mean, the college schedule was great, and then yesterday's, NFL schedule of 6 teams on bye, so there's fewer games, of course. The schedule wasn't the best, so action was definitely seemed to be down a little bit yesterday compared to previous weeks on NFL. I definitely noticed that. But college was great. So there's so many factors in play there, Teddy. The schedule, teams on bye, so many different factors. But yeah, definitely this weekend, I definitely noticed that. The weekend before, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth.
So interesting information. But the bottom line is that we're not. It used to be NFL is king, and now it's like NFL and college are both kings. King and queen. But
yeah,
there were 3 legitimate middles in the NFL on Sunday. Did you guys get hurt with those? I know that the Jets, Falcons landed in the middle, both side and total. And then, of course, that Saints-Bears games, which landed 8 and bounced between 7.5, 8.5 all week long. Did either of those results hurt you, or was it no big deal with Jets, Falcons, and Saints-Bears?
Yeah, it was. I mean, the Jets and the Bills were 2 of our biggest winners. So did we dump some money back? Could have been a bigger winner? Yes, but overall, those games are 2 of the better winners of the house. Jets, Bills, Texans, and the under last night was massive. I mean, the action on that total last night, holy cow. That was probably our second biggest decision of the day, was the total. And last night it was bigger than any day game spread decision. So yeah, it's got a little off track. But yeah, I mean, we dumped some money back because of that, but it wasn't. Those two of those teams were still our biggest winners of the day. So, we still celebrated those decisions.
Sure. Steelers' red zone defense got it done last night when it mattered most. Or I should say on Sunday night when it mattered most. Dave Mason from BetOnline.ag. Why don't you let our viewers know one good special, one good bonus offer they can take advantage of today, right now, and get themselves set up for the rest of football season and, of course, basketball season now here on full display.
And the World Series, 50% welcome bonus. Use promo code NEW2500 on your first ever deposit at betonline.ag and get a 50% welcome bonus. The max bonus on that is $2,500, not a few hundred like other sports books. We'll give you up to $2,500, 50% welcome bonus. Promo code NEW2500. Terms and conditions at betonline.ag/promotions.
Sounds good. Dave Mason, BOL. Have a great week, buddy. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Man. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Nice work, Teddy. Thanks to Dave Mason. He's on every Tuesday with the deep dive. Money time, play of the day. Back to Game 6 of the World Series. I'm surprised at this move, but also in Nevada, you could see a big move on the Astros because ticket brokers are betting the Astros because it could be a $20 million loss if this series doesn't go 7. It's expected to be $3,000 just to get into the stadium for a Game 7 if it happens. So they're coming to town and betting the Astros to hedge their bets that they want to see this. In any event, he pitched well in Game 2. He's pitched well every single start since he came over in the trade. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Rich Hill, and who knows what's going to happen behind him. I also think it's demoralizing in a pivotal Game 5 to score 7 runs for your ace and you can't win the game, and you can't even qualify for the win, and you score 12 runs on the road and you lose. Add it up, betting number 911, Astros plus $1.10. They've won every single game that Verlander has appeared in since he got there. 5-0 in September, 5-0 in October. Ride that streak, take the plus money. Sorry, no Game 7 Wednesday. Houston, you're champs. They beat the Dodgers, and we'll take the plus $1.10 with Verlander. Thanks for watching. Fun show. Who knows? Maybe more NFL trades when we talk to you Wednesday on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.